Welcome to a PDR Live. This is December 16th, 2024. Please like this live stream. For those of you who have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to our channel, Progressives for a Democratic Republic. We want to thank all our new subscribers. We have added over 70 new subscribers in the past month. We thank each and every one of you who has added our YouTube channel to their social media. We want to follow up with the previous live stream of Piers Morgan asking for empathy for the slain UHC CEO Brian Thompson. That's the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, who was assassinated on December 4th in Midtown Manhattan as he was walking to an investors conference that was being held there in New York on that day. He was ambushed outside of his hotel and executed by the assassin with a silencer. So several days ago, Piers Morgan, the British social media star, former news anchor in Great Britain, held a panel discussing the outpouring of joy in social media over the assassin Luigi Mangione, who allegedly assassinated United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. I'm going to take you right now to that panel, and we're going to listen to that right now.
On this whole issue of the hot assassin, I made the point on X earlier. Had this shooter executed a female CEO of a company, of a healthcare company, I don't think any women on the
Make a tax-deductible donation today to fight hunger in your community. Your gift will be matched.
left would have gone public and talked about what a hot assassin he was. Do you?
I frankly don't know that that's true, and I also think we can't erase how many men are also thirsting, frankly, after the claims adjuster, or as you have been describing him, the hot assassin, Luigi Mangione. But I think the real point is that both sides of the establishment political aisle are desperate to make this a conversation about something other than the fact that we have perhaps the most perverse healthcare system, or insurance system is a more accurate way to put it, compared to every other similarly wealthy country in the world. The reason you're seeing this outrage and sometimes kind of performative thirsting for the shooter is exactly because 68,000 people every year in the United States of America die because people like Brian Thompson, who run companies like United Healthcare, deny insurance claims that could have saved the lives of their loved ones. And while there were a lot of words spent talking about the fear, the real fear of the people on the subway who had encountered Jordan Neely, it's important to note that Jordan Neely hadn't physically engaged with anybody on the subway.
Well, I'm going to come to Jordan, just to be clear. I'm going to come to...
Wait a minute.
Let's separate the two stories, though.
That was just an aside. So much... so many such words, passions, empathy was directed in that direction. But Brian Thompson's actual crimes of having a direct connection to mass death and suffering for tens of thousands of Americans on a yearly basis,
well, hang on, you said
I think it's going under-examined.
Okay, you said crimes. What was the crime?
Unfortunately, the United States, our legal system is designed by people in power who enrich themselves, who don't make denying people's health care that results in mass death.
Yeah, but you called it a crime, though. You called it a crime, but it wasn't a crime. He wasn't a convicted criminal.
I would define it. I would define it colloquially as a crime. And the fact that Luigi allegedly took matters into his own hands is because no political system or legal system in the United States of America has been willing to step up.
Actually, we don't
and
even know that, do we?
The mass
it seems
murder
to
that's
me,
been executed on the part
Brianna,
of the American healthcare
okay,
system.
I would say, look, we don't know really enough about this guy yet. It looks to me like he's a bit of a narcissist.
What do you mean?
I think he was a narcissist. I think that he was clearly unhinged. I'm not sure that he's the great Robin Hood. Hang on.
Which guy? I'm sorry.
Hang on.
You're talking about
Luigi, the shooter,
or,
right?
Brian Thompson.
The one who shot Brian Thompson, Luigi, right? I'm just not sure that he's this great, heroic guy standing up against the healthcare system. I suspect
well, I'm not.
So, let's go to that point, right? Let's just stop right there and address that point that he made quite incorrectly. I take you to a December 6, 2024 article. Slain CEO faced ongoing court battles. Okay. Threats. Common complaints against insurer denials were written on bullet casings found where Brian Thompson was killed. Before UHC CEO Brian Thompson was gunned down in Midtown Manhattan this week, he was steering his company through court battles and legislative threats at a time of public frustration over health insurance industry tactics. United Healthcare's parent company, which generates $400 billion in annual revenue, has been under increasing scrutiny by lawmakers and federal officials for allegedly hurting consumers with monopolistic practices. Okay, so monopolies are illegal under U.S. law. Some Democratic lawmakers have accused United Healthcare of intentionally denying claims to boost profits, and Thompson himself has been accused of insider trading, which is illegal under U.S. law. Thompson, 50, was well liked internally at United Health. Well, I bet he was. Let's go here. Legal scrutiny around United Healthcare's Medicare business regarding potentially overbilling the government. I mean, we talked about this, but this is what Medicare Advantage does. Affected Thompson personally during that time, said a former colleague who spoke on the condition of anonymity given the sensitivity of Thompson's death. He called me and said, "I'm from Iowa. My parents have difficulty explaining what I do, let alone being sued for $1 billion, he said. So even here, he was even having second thoughts of the morality of what he was actually doing. Because what he was doing, he himself knew deep down was the wrong thing. And we're going to go, after we finish this bizarre, lunatic program from Piers Morgan, we're going to go to a ProPublica article after the video to further corroborate this point. So, scrutiny on the company has mounted in recent years. Under Thompson, United Healthcare ramped up its use of tactics such as prior authorization, in which physicians must submit additional paperwork to justify their treatments and prescriptions, according to reports by congressional investigators and federal watchdogs. The company also increasingly relied on automated programs to immediately reject claims, lawmakers and watchdogs have said. And by the way, out of curiosity, I went to their website, and sure enough, they actually admit that they use AI, and they actually boast about it. They claim that it's actually providing better service to their customers. It's on their website. And maybe if I do a follow-up live stream, I can show you guys that on their website. Industry analysts have said that denying claims has helped United Healthcare and other insurers cut costs and boost profits. The tactics have been faulted by lawmakers, federal officials, and advocacy groups who say the health insurance giant has wrongly denied care to customers. Okay. United Healthcare has defended its practices, saying that lawmakers' scrutiny is misplaced and that it is working to prioritize patient care. The Department of Health and Human Services Office of the Inspector General investigated United Healthcare and other insurers that operated managed care organizations, or MCOs. The probe focused on insurers' Medicaid denials in 2019, during part of which Thompson ran United Healthcare's Medicaid business, and concluded that the program had high rates of prior authorization denials. These findings raise serious concerns that Medicaid MCOs are systematically and improperly denying necessary care, which they are required by law to provide to low-income children and families. These are crimes, Piers. Seniors and people with disabilities who rely on these plans for access to critical healthcare services. Congressional Democrats in September 2023 wrote to United Healthcare. Okay? So don't give me this nonsense that, oh, he didn't commit a crime. You know, that's not fair. You can't compare him to Jordan Neely. So we're going to go on here and continue listening to this dumb interview that he conducts here with his dumb, stupid questions.
Talking about that, this isn't about Luigi, who may or may not, he's been arrested, he's been charged. We may or may not know that he's the actual shooter. I'm talking about the public reaction to Brian Thompson's death.
No, I understand
and we do know about Brian Thompson.
I understand that.
We know about United Healthcare, and that's the root of the discontent. That's the root of the public outcry. Luigi is just a vessel through which people are expressing their deep frustrations with the American healthcare system. So the question is, if you don't want murders like this to be happening, assassinations to be happening like this in the street, and I'm someone who does not believe in the death penalty and don't condone these kinds of vigilante instances of violence in either case. But if you want to get to the root of why people are so deeply unhappy, you have to, it resonates so deeply with people that this has happened, you have to get to the.
Hello, I'm Patrick Stewart.
You have to get to the root cause of why people are angry. Why are people angry? And it's because of their unscrupulous tactics. Okay. Apologize for these dumb, idiotic ads, but I think this is the part here where Piers becomes unhinged. So, here we go.
And that has to do with Brian Thompson has chosen
but just,
to do with
okay,
life,
but all right.
what companies like United Healthcare have chosen to do to the American people.
But just to be clear, before I go to Natalie to respond to that, do you feel any empathy for Brian Thompson and his family?
Who cares?
I have infinite empathy for any individual as a person in their personal capacity. As his role as the CEO of United Healthcare, I'm afraid I'm with the overwhelming majority, bipartisan majority of the American people who.
Why would we have empathy for a guy we just read? They were under investigation. Why should I have empathy for someone accused of insider trading and someone accused of improperly denying care to seniors, people with disabilities, and kids? Why? Isn't that a little weird? Like, should we have empathy then for Donald Trump? Should we have empathy for Hunter Biden? Should we have empathy for, who else is being accused? Should we have empathy for Diddy, for Jay-Z, for Mike Tyson, for I don't know who else, Epstein. Who else is being accused of these? For Senator Menendez of New Jersey, should we have empathy for him because of and his wife? Okay, right.
Say, I'm saving my empathy for people who are much more vulnerable, and have caused a lot
Right.
less
So to be
harm.
clear,
So I think my empathy, I agree with that. My empathy is more with the people being denied care by United Healthcare.
you don't have any empathy for him after he was executed.
I personally don't.
Right. Okay. Well, at least you're honest. Let me go to Natalie Winters. I mean, I find this staggering. You've got to remember, the left is supposed to be the party that cares so much. All of them have their "Be Kind" hashtags. They're the caring ones, the kind ones, and they can't even bring it in their hearts to say they find a shred of empathy for a man who's just been executed, who's
For
the
a man
father of
accused of
children,
insider
the
trading.
husband of a loving wife, and
The
so on.
CEO.
I find that just staggering. That you can't, on a human level, have empathy for the murder of someone, but also make your point about the system in which he was an executive. What's your response?
For a potential white
I mean, it's
collar criminal.
absolutely shocking. And look, what it gets to the core of is the continued dehumanization of people, because in the sort of culturally Marxist paradigm of oppressor versus oppressed, you're allowed to do.
Wait, who was dehumanized? No one was being dehumanized. The only people being dehumanized were the United Healthcare customers, if they did their homework. But of course, these people didn't come prepared.
Whatever you want to someone who has allegedly, or in this case, I'm not a supporter of the United States healthcare system or apparatus. Believe me, there's so many problems that need to be fixed. And
Oh, it seems like you are. Okay, you're just coming on here to just point the finger at people who are supposedly the people who are cheering the assassin. Okay.
adjusted there, but condoning, which is in effect what these two panelists are doing, the assassination of him by a
That is
roundabout
not, in
way by
effect,
saying, well, the
what
healthcare
these two
system
panelists have been
you just
doing.
told me that you had absolutely no empathy and that you think what people are doing by gunning
Right, but
down healthcare
ma'am,
executives because of bad
I also
decisions. And by
said
the
that
way,
I do
no,
not
he
condone
asked me a
vigilante
question. By the
violence
way,
in
if you
either
think that
instance.
Okay, so the woman on the left, I don't think there's inside that head of hers. I think there's nothing in there. I think it's an empty vessel, because I think everybody who just listened to her, their IQ just probably dropped a couple of points. So to just listening to that stupidity.
So
You
don't
just told me that you had no
misrepresent my
empathy.
view.
So
If you
what
can
do
make
you
your
have
case
for this
without
man?
telling a lie, miss, then you should do it. I have
You
empathy
just
for the
told
68 million Americans
the
and their
entire audience
families
that
who
you
are
have
killed
no
every
empathy
single
for the
year
don't
by the
talk over each other. We can't
of the
hear you.
United
Because you
Healthcare
think that he
system with
fits
its
Don't talk
into
over each other. We
34%
can't hear you.
denial rate.
Okay, look.
Of
Listen, Brianna,
can I just
I'll let
add
you speak,
too, if
Brianna.
you think
Let
Luigi-
Natalie have her say, and then I'll let people respond.
By the way, if you think Luigi Mangione is someone who you maybe have empathy or sympathy for, this is someone who had a very privileged upbringing, background.
Okay, so she's not listening. Brianna Joy Grey didn't say that she's hailing this guy as a hero. She didn't say that at all. She's pointing out the fact, explaining why people are reacting the way that they were reacting. This person's either choosing not to listen or just, I think it's more that they're coming, these right-wing talking heads are coming on here to score political points. Because the incoming administration is a right-wing administration, and so anywhere where they can score political points and blame the left, even though this issue is not a right-left issue, this is just across the board. People just hate health insurance companies. It's across the board. So denials, health insurance companies, these people act like they're only denying leftists or people on the left of the political spectrum. Health insurance companies don't look up your political history that we know of to decide whether they will deny your claim or not. They're just going to deny your claim, period. Because they think that it can help boost their profits and cut costs. That's the bottom line. It has nothing to do with this nonsense she's talking about. So no one's hailing this guy. It's just people are just angry because of their practices.
A very wealthy family. The CEO of United Healthcare is someone who came from a working class family, went to state schools, didn't go to the University of Pennsylvania. Like I said, I'm not.
Yeah, but we just read to you guys. He himself was not proud of what he was doing. What is she talking about? It's true. Yes, he did come from much more humble origins than when he died. You know, he attended the University of Iowa, and people speak highly of him when he was a student and when he started off in the health insurance industry, that he was a hard worker and so on. But he himself confided in someone that it seemed like he was not proud of what he was actually doing. So this woman here, she's a lunatic, basically, an airhead, and doesn't know what they're talking about, or she's just coming on there to run interference and just score political points for Trump.
Not defending the healthcare system writ large, but to say that you don't have empathy.
By the way, she's in a program with Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon, the former Trump aide. I forgot what position he had, but he was one of Trump's advisors. So she's been on that show. I don't know if she's a regular, but she's on that show. So
because you view him as an oppressor of the American people is a perversion, not just of the system of law and justice in this country, but that's extreme. You just said you don't have empathy for a man who was murdered in cold blood on the streets of New York.
This. We heard you.
So what do you have for him?
You are
Sympathy?
obsessed with this oppressed language. It seems to be a bit of a kink.
You
among
are so much
Republicans
so
on
that
the
you
aisle.
just said you don't
I'm
have
in a
empathy
very-
for a murder victim.
I said, let me be clear. I said, as a person, interpersonally, of course, he has a family, and those people are feeling grief, and those people, as far as I know, are innocent in all of this. But the question is, why?
So O.J. Simpson recently died, right? What was the reaction online on O.J. Simpson, right? Did she condemn people for going online and condemn what the people's reaction to inappropriate reaction to someone's death? So I mean, come on, right? Henry Kissinger. So the presidents who pass away, do we just need to condemn stuff or everyone and not be critical of what these people did in life? Do we just need to just stop doing that? I mean, this woman's just crazy. And people on the right call AOC and saying this woman and Marjorie Taylor Greene are just two of the most dumbest, probably the most dumbest people I've heard recently. And I try not to listen to those right-wingers too much. But anyway, we'll continue.
Here's the real question. Why are we asking random pundits, who might personally have been victimized, by the way, by someone like Brian Thompson, why they would have empathy for him and their family, while there's no question being asked about who has empathy for the tens of thousands of Americans who are killed every year by the policies that Brian Thompson has made millions and millions.
All right, Clay,
yeah, but again,
this space
they don't want to talk about that. And I apologize for these stupid ads from Facebook and stupid Piers Morgan, and that's exactly the point, that no one's crying for the people who have been denied care. So stop with the crocodile tears, will you? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and listen to a little bit more here. Okay.
While there's no question being asked about who has empathy for the tens of thousands of Americans who are killed every year by the policies that Brian Thompson has made millions and millions,
right, Clay,
tens of millions of dollars off of.
Okay,
Why are we talking about the fact that this 25-year-old, 26-year-old perpetrator, alleged perpetrator, went to an Ivy League school when obviously he was so still financially precarious, or obviously we don't know, the facts will come out. But the fact that someone who is relatively privileged in the United States of America can still feel so overwhelmed by our healthcare system that they would go to these lengths, that people who are relatively affluent still find themselves in medical bankruptcy, as you so rightly pointed.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, it doesn't seem, there's no evidence yet that he was angry over being denied a claim or he was hit financially, because in the manifesto he doesn't mention that at all. So or at least it hasn't been brought up. But regardless, if even somebody like him recognizes just complete corruption of the healthcare, a murderer recognizes how corrupt the healthcare insurance industry is, and he can identify who is the problem. Because I just read to you the article who was being investigated. I'm not making stuff up. Okay, this is what the media has reported, that guy had shady practices. So he was potentially committing crimes. He was accused of committing federal violating a federal law. So had the federal government actually had the courage to actually sue that guy, taken that and sued that company, taken that guy to trial, gotten a guilty verdict, he would have been a convicted criminal. So, anyway, let's continue with the stupidity.
Pointed out earlier, Piers Morgan, that 50% of families that have a cancer diagnosis in their family in the United States of America go bankrupt. That is where the moral outrage should lie. But when you go on these programs, no offense, Piers, who have wealthy, affluent homes,
Brianna,
the focus seems to be on the family of the millionaire and not on the families of the people who have been terrorized by this healthcare system.
You made your point. Listen, I'm in London at the moment. In the UK, we have the National Health Service. It's free healthcare for all.
NHS.
You know, so I find the whole system in America completely baffling. That a country of your size and power and economic muscle can't have a better system where people don't fall through the cracks in such life.
And you people probably have that. You've had that since the end of World War II, because our country has military bases in Europe. So these European countries don't have to spend that much on their military because the American taxpayer is supplying that for you guys. But that's a different subject.
Large numbers, I completely agree. But that is a separate issue to the execution of someone in the street. Clay, I could see you were rolling your eyes there.
But it's not a separate issue.
Well, let me bring Clay in.
It is a separate. Piers,
No, it's not a separate issue because, yeah, he got executed. How many people have died over the denied care? But let's listen to this stupid lunatic here.
I'm in Israel right now. I just been touring a lot of the kibbutzes where there were people who were murdered because they were Jewish. I can't help but see the...
Notice no mention of the Palestinians. The over 40,000 Palestinians who have died.
Analogy here. You can be upset with a larger societal issue. It does not justify murdering people because of it. And if you are making that argument, and Brianna...
So tell that to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, who've been accused of being war criminals by the International Criminal Court. And the country that you're in is currently under investigation by the ICJ, the International Court of Justice. So it's easy for you to talk this nonsense. This is hypocritical of this guy. Anyway. More on that later.
Is making that argument. I'm sorry, her brain is broken because what she is saying is, I'm so upset about the healthcare system that I believe that assassinating...
And again, she never said, this guy's an idiot. And like I said, I think these people are just being disingenuous. Polite word for saying that they're lying. They're just coming on here to just muddy the waters and score political points. That's what I think. And then the people in Israel, like him, are probably happy that Trump is in office right now, because they think that with Trump they'll have even more of a free hand to do whatever they want to do in Gaza and in the West Bank, and run roughshod over the people in the Palestinian people.
An innocent person who has never been convicted of any crime in cold blood on the streets of Manhattan.
Okay, but this person, okay, was under investigation. And notice, so he knows what's going on, right? He hasn't been convicted yet, but they were under investigation.
Manhattan is okay, then your brain is broken. If you don't have empathy
that's
for
not
a
what
father,
I'm saying, and the audience is intelligent enough to have heard what I've actually said.
You said you didn't have empathy for the killing of a man because you were upset about the larger
Brianna Joy
societal
Grey
issue of health care. That is not any different
that he is a person
than
in his
you
private
saying
capacity.
when you are
I do
seeing
not have
what
empathy
happens
for the
when someone is killed
CEO
because
of United
they're Jewish,
Healthcare.
that you're
And
not
by
happy
the
about
way,
the situation here.
Neither
It's
do
justifying
millions of Americans who've been victimized by Brian
a
themselves.
larger societal issue that you don't like. And by the way, this is not a healthcare debate.
Yeah, I want to play. I want to play
People
two.
are
I want to play
unhappy
two.
It is a healthcare debate.
Hang on. I want to play.
Yeah, so it is a healthcare debate because the guy, number one, was shot because of that. Number two, he was under investigation for shady practices. I think for Brianna Joy Grey, just the best counterattack, but she's not the type of person to probably do this. I would be, though. I would just turn the tables and say, hey, you are coming on here and telling people that we should have more empathy for a health insurance criminal, a CEO, and that we should not have any empathy at all for his own customers who he defrauded, who he denied claims to, and that we should not have any empathy for the seniors who were being denied care by this company, to the children who have autism, to the people with disabilities. You are coming on here saying we should not even think of these people. So that's what you're doing. That's what I would do. I would just turn the tables on him, because they're coming on here to just run interference. That's all they're doing. It's not a good faith, for lack of a better word, it's not a good faith. They're not coming on the show in good faith. Ironic, because Brianna Joy Grey's YouTube program is called Bad Faith, but I think she always has good faith, ironically.
Hang on, Brianna.
It's a murder debate.
Yeah, it's a
murder debate.
I agree.
Yeah, and United Healthcare is potentially murdering people. Okay, yeah.
Healthcare debate.
People are not excited about. Wait a minute. People are not excited about murder. There are thousands of murders.
So I would just double down on that. I would say, well, this gentleman over here, he's saying that we should just forget about the people who are suffering under this health insurance. That they should just continue to be defrauded by United Healthcare, because we've seen the chart. They deny 1/3 of all claims. They use an AI to inappropriately deny all these claims. And this company has been accused of potentially violating federal law. So we'll stop here on this video because it's just a bunch of nonsense, and Piers is an idiot. But I want to take you to the article. Well, this is really, they did an interview today in Democracy Now!, the ProPublica article, and they expose United Health profiteering off limited care for children.
Well, we end today's show with a look more closely at United Health's policies. ProPublica has just published an expose looking at how United Health is aggressively trying to limit treatment for thousands of children with autism in an effort to cut costs. The ProPublica report is based on leaked documents from inside the company. Last month, ProPublica exposed how United Health is limiting mental health coverage for many in another cost-saving measure.
We're joined
So this is why they're not convicted criminals yet, because they're hiding their crimes. These are leaked documents.
Now by Annie Waldman, an award-winning reporter at ProPublica who broke both of these stories. Annie, welcome to Democracy Now! Lay out what you found.
Yeah, so this year, my colleagues and I have been investigating how insurance companies interfere with mental health care. And we have spoken with hundreds of providers, patients from all across the country, and they have described to us many challenges that they've had with insurance companies. But one company in particular has stood out, and this is even before the events of the past few weeks, and that is United Health Group, as well as United Healthcare, its insurance company, as well as its division Optum, which manages its mental health benefits. And over the course of our reporting, we have obtained leaked documents, which are effectively the company's internal playbook for limiting mental health care. And in these documents, we have uncovered that the company has engaged in a secret internal cost-cutting strategy that is essentially trying to limit the care of children with autism all across the country.
What a shame.
And how precisely do they do this?
So the internal documents show that there is a specialized therapy for children with autism that the company calls, and these are the company's words, the gold standard treatment. They say it's evidence-based. And over the past few years, there has been an increase in the number of children diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Because of this increase, it's put a lot of pressure on the company's bottom line. And so they have developed market plans, special action plans to essentially limit access to this care. They are doing it in two ways. First, they are trying to limit access to the therapy itself by pushing providers out of the network. They are preventing new providers of this specific therapy from joining their insurance networks, and they are terminating the contracts of providers who are already in their network, citing cost outliers as one of the reasons for that. And this can be very detrimental to families who, this therapy is incredibly expensive. It's very hard to pay for it out of pocket. And so if their provider is kicked out of their insurance network, their children may not have access to this care. The other thing that they're doing is they're engaging in a rigorous utilization management review system, which essentially means that they are targeting providers, calling them up on the phone, and then questioning them about the medical necessity of the treatment. This can lead to denials of coverage for many families.
So let's...
Okay, so we'll stop right there. But yeah, and I think I've mentioned this before, but my dad as well, his neurologist was removed from his in-network plan in Ultimate. So I totally empathize. I empathize for people who have to go through that, because I saw how that affected my father's mental health care. Because and then his doctor. Because then when they kick you out, then you have to go search for a new neurologist, and the insurance company gave us a list of other neurologists, and there was actually a lot who are near our neighborhood, and we asked his doctor the doctor's office to get us some of the ones nearby. And what the person in charge there of the authorizations did is that he tried to send us to Glendale, which is like far away from Los Angeles here. I mean, the company provides transportation, but still, my dad can't sit in a vehicle for probably more than half an hour or an hour. And, when they take you far away to like another city, you go there, you have to wait for the doctor to call you. Then when they see you, once they finish, you have to call the transportation office and it usually takes more than 30 minutes sometimes it takes more than an hour for them to come and pick you up and take you back home. So you've wasted the trip going and coming back home probably 3 to 4 hours on commute alone because of the distance. So just being kicked out of like what these people are going through, I totally, they have it worse, because I feel that they have it worse than us, though. But just gonna take a look at this. Is the article that this woman was this reporter. Sorry for saying this woman. This reporter was being interviewed on Democracy Now, and they talk about. And I'm not gonna read the beginning part here, but they talk about a boy named Benji. So the mom, I think, is a Sherelle Menard. And apparently what happens is that the insurer that has been paying for his son's therapy, United Health Care, has begun on the befuddlement of his clinical team, denying him the hours they say he requires to maintain his progress. Inside the insurance conglomerate, the nation's largest and most profitable, the slashing of care to children like Benji does have a reason, though it has little to do with their needs. It is part of a secret internal cost-cutting campaign that targets a growing financial burden for the company, the treatment of thousands of children with autism across the country. Okay, and there's the little boy right there. And the article, and this is the last paragraph we'll read. ProPublica has obtained what is effectively the company's strategic playbook developed by Optum, the division that manages mental health benefits for United. In internal reports, the company acknowledges that the therapy called applied behavioral analysis is the, quote, evidence-based gold standard treatment for those with medically necessary needs. But the company's costs have climbed as the number of children diagnosed with autism has ballooned. Experts say greater awareness and improved screening have contributed to a fourfold increase in the past 2 decades, from 1 in 150 to 1 in 36. Okay. And they point out that this is potentially a violation of federal law, what they're doing. So, I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, if I'm supposed to have empathy for the United Healthcare, and this is United Healthcare, what we were just reading about. According to Piers Morgan, I'm forced by him to have empathy for United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, because he was brutally assassinated from behind. You know, he was ambushed, whatever. Okay, and I'm supposed to forget what his company, under his tutelage, was doing to these children. Okay, but that's the bankrupt morality that Piers Morgan has. He's smarter than he seems. He comes across as an idiot, but I know he's smarter than that, and I think he's just doing it to get clicks. He's a, what I called on Twitter, and I tweeted at him, he's a tone police, a tone troll. That's what he is, because he's just making this outrage, he's just making that stuff up to get a reaction from those panelists, so they can go after one another, so he can get the circus spectacle. And he's doing that at the expense of people who are suffering, who are still alive, who are still breathing as we speak on this earth. And he could use his platform for something better. The UHC CEO, he's dead. He's not coming back. Okay, and he himself confided to a colleague that he was having second thoughts of what he was doing in his life. And that's, maybe Piers should read that part of the of Brian Thompson. Maybe he should take a look and take to heart Brian Thompson's own words. Okay? called me and said, I'm from Iowa. My parents have difficulty explaining what I do, let alone being sued for $1 billion, he said. Okay? There it is. Ripping off the federal government. That's Medicare Advantage. Okay. So yeah, that lady who was on the Piers Morgan, the right-wing troll on there, yeah, he came from humble backgrounds, but look what he was doing. Ripping off the taxpayer. And he knew it. Okay. So he knew it. These people are just bankrupt, and I don't understand why people in this country vote for these morons, the people that these morons support. That's the problem. The other problem is we got Democrats who don't know what the hell they're doing, and they're also as corrupt, probably as corrupt as Republicans. Thank you so much for joining. That's the live stream for today. Please like the live stream, today's live stream, subscribe to our channel. You probably won't get this content anywhere else. Thank you. Have a